Chapter 1. She is suspended motionless in the grasp of something not quite human. The figure's fingers barely seem to touch her, yet she remains frozen, as if held in place by an unseen pressure. A dark substance, thick and gleaming like oil, seeps slowly from her skin, emerging from every pore with unnatural precision. The figure turns toward me, gaunt, hollow-eyed. Her expression is neither rage nor joy, but something worse, performance. She wants me to watch. Without breaking eye contact, she extends a long, impossibly smooth tongue and draws the inky substance toward her, as though feeding on the very essence of the woman in her grip. Is she acting alone? I wonder. As if in response, her outline flickers, just for a moment. Like static. A projection? Then I see it. Metallic tubing snakes out from her back, pulsing with dim light. I trace one hose across the space, and it connects to another shape in the shadows. A second figure slumped, silent. A conduit. A patsy. But the line doesn't end there. It continues further still, to a third form. Fused, indistinct. I follow the thread back to its beginning, and it brings me, again, to the woman in stasis. Turn around, I whispered to her. She doesn't hear me. One final tube runs from the back of her skull, deep into the base of her brain, the cerebellum. A system. A loop. All of it orchestrated to keep her trapped in that place. In your head, I say, this is all just to keep you in your head. Then louder, commanding now, drop. A pause. Now. Chapter 2. My head is thrown downward in a motion toward the earth, and in that instant, everything is removed, transmuted into the highest frequency of love. Just like that, it's gone. My client remains seated, patiently awaiting my return. I conclude this quantum healing in a way that feels true to me. I purify my spirit and gently guide my soul back into my body. With a deep breath, whoosh, I am once more in the third dimension, once again. Do you ever get a pain in the back of your head? I ask the woman seated in my office chair. Sometimes, she says with a shrug. Time to go deeper. Do you ever feel like you're in the grip of something, controlling? Do you find you have a lot of controlling people in your life? There it was. The way she looked at me said everything. Yeah, I do actually, she replies, softening, more willing to open up now. She begins listing a few people in her life, each one carrying that same controlling frequency we were just speaking of. What was that, though? Like, seriously? She asks. What was clutching me? You had what's called a controller implant, I explained gently. I described the entity and the implant in detail, how it runs along the spine, interfering with the chakras. She sits in silence, taking it in. I let the quiet stretch out. It must be a lot to process. She started laughing. Like, full on, can't catch her breath, snorting in the middle of a sentence laughing. I blinked. Okay. I just sat there, frozen. Well, this is new, I thought, wondering if I'd accidentally walked into a comedy club instead of a healing session. Trying to regain control of the room, or at least pretend I launched into my grand explanation. There are forces in this world that have humanity's best interests at heart, and then, well, some that don't. Those less friendly forces, I said, clearing my throat, place these energy blocks in your energy field. She laughed even harder. Like, loud enough that the plants in the corner might have perked up. What the fuck? She managed to say between gasps, shaking her head like I was a comic. Eventually, tears streaming down her face, she put up one hand, palm out. Please, she gasped, don't say anything else. I can't laugh anymore, or I'll literally pass out. Honestly? In her defense, I'm pretty sure that's the exact reaction you're supposed to have when someone tells you your energy's been sabotaged by intergalactic beings. Then, between giggles, she said, Hey, Rebecca told me to come see you, but I had no idea what I was signing up for. Can I book another session next week? I need more of whatever this is. She became a regular client after that. Though our sessions were always rich with insight, I never really got to dive deeper into those less than friendly energies, the ones I hinted at but never fully explained. So, I want to share that with you now. Where they come from and why they matter. Because here's the thing. Whenever I talk about this, beings from beyond, energy sabotage, galactic influence, people fall into two camps. There are those who nod slowly, like a puzzle piece has finally clicked into place. I knew this stuff was real, they say, as if I've just confirmed a truth they've carried all their lives. And then there are others who laugh, not unkindly, but with disbelief or maybe discomfort. Like it tickles some part of them they're not ready to confront. I wonder about that. Whether the laughter is nervousness in disguise. Whether deep down, they've sensed these truths all along, and what they're really laughing at is how close they've come to remembering. For me, there was never a moment of doubt. As a child, galactic beings weren't some fringe idea. They were part of the fabric of my reality. As natural and accepted in my family as whales in the ocean or birds in the sky. I assumed everyone knew. It wasn't something I believed. It was simply something I knew. Chapter 3. My story. From near-death to quantum healing, I was an intuitive child, deeply connected to nature and the world around me. I spent my early years barefoot, running through the fields, feeling the earth beneath me, and watching butterflies flit by. There was something magical about those butterflies. They felt like guides, showing me the way forward in life. Even then, I knew I was here for a reason. To help people, to offer peace, and to support others to feel worthy and safe. Growing up in a family with open hearts and minds, I was encouraged to explore the mysteries of the world. I was taught to believe in more than what the eyes could see, from the magic of nature to the presence of otherworldly beings. My childhood was filled with wonder, but also with a deep sense of responsibility. I always felt called to be a guide and a source of comfort. Even as a child, I found myself in the role of counselor. My friends came to me with their worries, fears, and pain. I remember lying on my back, watching the clouds drift by, offering a quiet space where others could share their hearts. In those moments, I felt like I was offering them a piece of the peace I carried within. Without realizing it, I was already doing the work I dedicate my life to, offering healing and creating space for others to be seen, heard, and understood. As I grew older and became a counselor, I realized traditional talk therapy was only one piece of the puzzle. I was always drawn to the deeper layers of the human experience, the energy beneath the emotions, the soul behind the story. I understood that true healing went beyond the mind. It touched the spirit, the energy field, and the profound interconnectedness of all things. Then came the moment that would change everything, my first near-death experience at 27. The first awakening, a decision to love myself before that experience. I had always been hard on myself. I carried a weight of self-criticism and doubt, unaware of how much it held me back from truly living. But after my near-death experience, everything shifted. I remember the exact moment I made the decision to love myself, to speak kindly to myself, and to honor who I truly was. Life felt too precious to keep living in self-judgment. I had already stopped smoking at 25, but after that moment, I fully committed to a new relationship with myself. I quit drinking. I wrote myself apology letters, forgiveness letters, and love letters. I began tending to the parts of myself I had long neglected. Within just 2 weeks, I began to fall deeply in love with who I was, and everything in my life began to change. That journey to self-love was not easy, but it was transformative. It became the foundation of the work I now offer. In every healing session, I integrate self-love, guiding my clients to recognize their worth, their beauty, and their inner power. The second near-death experience, a return with purpose at 30, I faced a second health crisis that would once again shift the direction of my life. I had struggled with a mysterious heart issue for 6 months. No doctor could explain what was happening, and my body began to deteriorate. I was no longer living, I was merely existing. Then I crossed over, and I remember everything. I was embraced by a being of pure love, surrounded in an orb of warmth and peace. There was no fear, only a deep, soul-level calm. I was reminded of my purpose and shown the path I was meant to walk. I was told I would return, that I would find healing, and that my work here was not yet complete. When I returned to my body, the fear I once carried of life and of death had completely dissolved. I understood that my journey was just beginning. Healing through energy, the birth of an ancient quantum modality, emerged in the days that followed. I was led to a practitioner who worked with conditions the medical world couldn't explain. I began taking over 60 herbal medicines daily, and within 30 days, my health began to improve. This healing created space for something extraordinary to unfold. My spiritual senses became heightened. I could now feel the energy of others, their intentions, their thoughts, and even their soul's path. At first, I didn't realize that not everyone experienced the world this way. But gradually, I came to understand the depth of my intuitive gifts. During this time, I also began reconnecting with my past lives. These memories came through strongly, as though my soul was urging me to listen. Through deep meditation and soul work, I uncovered experiences from lifetimes across time. These memories helped me access ancient healing knowledge and led me to understand how past life traumas and soul patterns influence our present lives. I was guided by these lives to travel the realms I had already been when I crossed over. But more importantly, the same realms that all our souls have been when we came into this world, this body. This became a cornerstone of my healing work. I immersed myself in meditation, connected with my ancestors, allowed myself to receive downloads, and expanded my energy healing practice. I was guided to create a healing method that blended my understanding of trauma with my spiritual gifts. To help me understand what was happening to me, I received energy healing and wisdom from Tohunga, who told me, "You're a traveler who changes energy." I was guided by many quantum healers who had also traveled between realms. I learned many of modalities from quantum healers as my abilities emerged, including quantum meditation Reiki, quantum energy healing, and quantum light language. My access to light language only came when I was deep in the quantum realm. It was a healer who helped me unlock and understand this sacred ability. I later discovered my ancestors also spoke light language. I was being guided through powerful downloads that transformed the way I work with quantum healing. My healing work today. Today, I work with people from all walks of life, guiding them through their own healing journeys. I help my clients reconnect with their souls, transmute trauma energy, and align with their highest path. Through quantum healing, we uncover the energetic patterns and beliefs that keep them stuck, and I hold space for deep integration and transformation. Each client I work with also teaches me something new. We guide each other. I learn as much from my clients as I do from the energy healers alike. Self-love, soul alignment, and energy healing are the pillars of my work. I believe every soul has a purpose, a unique vibration, and potential that is waiting to be uncovered. Through this process, your own gifts may awaken. You may even discover your own quantum modality. This book isn't here to tell you what to believe. It's an invitation to remember what your soul already knows, to feel what's been buried beneath logic, and maybe intrigue you a little while you do. You don't have to believe me. Just stay open. That's where the real magic lives. Chapter 4. I'm in the presence of a soul who is guided to do powerful things for this earth. She radiates amber, steady, luminous, with a soft shimmer at the edges, like the light knows how sacred she is. Around her, I sense many. Not just observing, but holding, supporting her from this spiritual realm. There's going to be a lot of work to do here, I think to myself. And then, there they are. I see them, I murmur. From the glowing outline of her soul, long wooden handles begin to emerge. Quiet at first. Then, almost instantly, the rest follows. Triangular red fabric unfolding into form. A red flag. Literally. And then another. And another. Until the space is filled with them, a silent sea of them. Thousands. Suspended in the in-between. Wow, I whisper. They really wanted to keep their eyes on you. I return my focus, speaking softly with the spirit team that guides me through this quantum healing. Their presence is calm, grounding, but even they do not answer the question that now hangs in the air. You might be wondering, who are they? And why have they kept such a close watch on this soul? But maybe that's not the real question. Maybe the real question is, what are they? And what are they going to do to her? The healing is concluded. I return gently to my physical body, grounded once more in the third dimension. And then, as if drawn from some place beyond words, my client speaks. Who are they? And why are they watching me? She pauses. A moment of realization flickers across her face, fragile, honest. I recognize that look. It's the same expression she wears in those moments when she's felt it, that presence. The unmistakable feeling of being watched when no one else is there. Well, I begin. That's a very good question. In this world, there are forces of light, and there are forces of shadow. The darker ones, they're the ones who place those flags. Why? She asks. What do they do? I take a breath, choosing my words carefully. The why is the easy part. It's because you're a being of light. When a soul like yours crosses through dimensions to reach this realm, this life, the womb, it passes through theirs. And when that happens, you get marked. Flagged. It's how they keep track of you. If you begin to lean toward your purpose, if things start going too well, they send something. A disruption, a delay, a distraction, something to knock you off course. I pause and watch her face. Flags mean that just when life starts to go right, something always seems to go wrong. Is that something you've experienced? All the time, she replies flatly, her eyes locked on the coffee table, searching through old memories. She's quiet for a moment, then looks up at me, something shifting in her gaze. When you say they, her voice is softer now. Who are they? Chapter 5. They go by many names in many cultures. They always arrive just before sleep, the whispers of something older watching. It began as a dream. At least, I told myself it was a dream. A black void. The pressure of stars. A slow, deliberate voice speaking from beyond dimensions. And then, always, the feeling of falling. These brief moments, flashes of encoded data hovering near the fields of people I worked with. A shimmer by the ear. A flicker behind the shoulder. Traces of something, interrupting, pulling, redirecting. It felt malevolent. When I finally mentioned this to Kahu, she didn't blink. She nodded slowly, like I'd just told her something obvious, something every child should already know. You're seeing Wairo, she said. He's one of the oldest ones. Dwells between realms. Loves the edge between womb and world. She sipped her tea like she was talking about the weather. Kahu is my cultural advisor, though that title doesn't do her justice. She's the kind of woman whose silence weighs more than most people's words. She's not old, not exactly, but her presence has the kind of patience that makes you feel like she's been watching the world since it cracked open. Her words don't fill the room. They arrive, unhurried, with the kind of authority you don't question. In Maori tradition, she continued, our world was born from the sacred union of earth and sky, Papatuanuku and Ranginui. They were lovers, locked in an eternal embrace, until their children pushed them apart to let light in. From them came many offspring. Some say 217. She paused, letting that number hang in the air. That we know of, she added. I offered, perhaps too eagerly, the Anunnaki? She frowned, a teasing eyebrow lifting. The Wa. Kahu smiled, but her eyes stayed serious. One of those children, Wairo, never really forgave the light for breaking the dark. He took up residence between. He waits where souls travel, in the passage between dimensions. Sometimes he interferes, makes trouble, throws off a soul's journey. Like mosquitoes, she said, casually. Buzzing chaos. That metaphor landed harder than I expected. It was the first time someone had spoken my strange experiences in language I could understand, wrapped in story, layered in myth. What I'd always chalked up to fringe quantum anomalies now felt ancient, known, protected. I see flags, I admitted. Markers. Energetic anomalies in people's fields, like something tags them before they enter life. Kahu nodded. Wairo's signature. He doesn't stop at birth. Just changes its trajectory. A pause. I struggle with the duality, I confessed. Are these beings good? Bad? Both? She looked at me gently. Some are good. Some are bad. They're flawed. It's important to remember their values are different from ours, so even those who are good are only their version of good. It doesn't translate. That hit like air to lungs I didn't know were holding breath. Somewhere between ancient myth and quantum memory, a pattern emerges. A story older than language, echoing across time. It always begins the same way. They came from the stars. In the Sumerian texts, they are the Anunnaki, celestial beings from a dying world, Nibiru. Not angels. Not gods. Scientists. Engineers. Miners. They arrived in search of gold, not for wealth, but for survival. Their atmosphere was failing. Gold, they believed, could stabilize it. Earth, rich in this precious metal, was a perfect solution. But digging into a living planet is no easy task. They brought with them a labor force, the Ichijai, younger star beings conscripted for grueling work. The Ichijai endured centuries of harsh labor until something in them snapped. Denied companions. Denied rest. They rebelled. They cast down their tools and declared themselves free. What followed was a moment of divine crisis. The Anunnaki needed a replacement, something durable, intelligent, and obedient. Something earthborn, but touched by stars. So they modified us. Enki, the Anunnaki's chief scientist, geneticist, proposed a radical fusion. He would blend Anunnaki essence with the DNA of a primitive hominid, already a divine being built from source. The first prototypes were monstrous, malformed. But with the help of Ninhursag, a goddess of life and form, a new being was born. Adamu. Human. Designed to serve. Built to endure. A laborer for the gods. But Enki went too far. In error, he slipped in more of their essence than he was supposed to. The result was a creature capable of self-awareness, creativity, even greater than themselves. Humans began to remember who they were. How they were truly created, long before the arrival of the Anunnaki. Enlil, Enki's brother, was horrified. This was no longer a workforce. This was a potential uprising. When humans began building cities, speaking one language, uniting under shared dreams, even attempting to build a